Phil, how are you doing? Are you able to
Doing
hear me
good.
clearly?
You're a little
All
quiet,
right.
actually.
Yeah, I was a bit sleepy. I believe you're about.
Oh, yeah. I think we're about maybe even live.
I'll be
I
okay
am
then. I'll
waiting
be
for the
okay.
message.
So, hello everybody. Welcome to this exciting live session brought to you by Land Rahima, Wasti, marketing executive at Land and I'm thrilled to have with me our very own founder, Philip Curry. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that matters not just to professionals in the IT industry, but to anyone navigating this increasingly digital world. We'll be discussing the skills and the attitude you need to thrive in the IT industry. Phil, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Hey, thank you, Rahima. It's a pleasure to be here. And I'm excited for this conversation where we can help a lot of upcoming talent make a bigger jump into the industry.
Likewise, we'll cutting from skill development and networking to career navigation in this fast paced as you already know. And don't forget, your audience can also engage with us by dropping your questions in the chat. Let's make this session very interactive as possible. And Philip, let's kick things off by talking about the essential skills. In your opinion, what are the top skills anyone looking to break into the IT industry should focus on?
Oh, so it's a great question. And I think the industry is changing, but there's a combination of both hard skills and soft skills we have to be good in our industry, right? And
Mhm.
sure, we have to be good at programming. We have to understand data analytics or cloud computing concepts, algorithms, basic secure. Basic security. I don't know what basic security is nowadays. It's become such a critical field, um, and and more, right? But we also have to learn how to have good problem solving skills. We have to be able to think critically and clearly and to be able to communicate with our between ourselves and other developers and other different groups of people that have massive differences in cultures and expectations, and we have to learn how to kind of step aside outside of ourselves, which requires
Yeah,
just a lot of soft skills, right? So in
absolutely.
IT, it's not just about what you know, but it's also about how you apply that knowledge and how you communicate and how you touch the world around you.
Great, I totally agree with that. And I'd add on that even if you're a non-technical role, you have a technical role in IT, like marketing or operations, it's still essential to understand the basics of technology. How would you say the skill set has 5 years?
Hmm. So technology is changing fast, right? And there's not been like it's been like this since the 70s, right? But it's
Yeah.
really moving fast in the past 5 years with AI, blockchain, cloud computing, emerging trends, IoT, the Internet of Things, right? Today, there's the technologies that were just introduced a year or two ago are becoming
Mhm.
fundamental, right? So you have to learn
Yeah.
how to learn and how to keep up. Automation and I have shifted focus from just simple machine learning algorithms to more strategic roles like helping develop system architecture and integrating many different services into our into our applications to massively increase the way that we're able to access things, and not just regular just standard access, right? We can now blind people now have way better interaction with systems than they've ever had before, largely thanks to the conversation nature of AI and how we can communicate with it and how it can present to us and adapt to our individual needs, right? Everybody has their own needs and accessibility challenges, right? One way or the other. We all have our own methods of learning, the way we like to absorb information and the way we like to be considered in our our daily wins. So
Yeah,
it's
I
critical
get it.
that it's critical that we stay on top of the technologies and develop our skills in sync with it.
Great. And one thing I know, many in the audience are curious about networking, and they're curious about networking every single day in every single session we hear so often that your network is your net worth. But in today's digital world, where so much happens online, how can somebody effectively network in IT?
So networking has changed dramatically. It really, in the past, it used to be about attending meetings, uh, shaking hands, face-to-face interactions. And while some of that went away in COVID, right? Um, we still have some of that, right? But now you
Yeah.
have to kind of put your professional foot forward to stand out, right? um with groups like LinkedIn, GitHub, and even platforms like Twitter and Reddit, right? These are gold mines for helping us share the things that we know, to find like-minded talent, or even to find talent that kind of fills our gaps, right? And here, it's more than just going out there and answering questions, right? But it's also answering in a way that shows your style, that shows your compassion, and the content that you can create helps people identify with you, right? Even just giving your voice
Mhm.
adds warmth to the relationship and the communications we have. It's not even just
Exactly.
about doing blogs anymore, right? It used to, just before COVID, is you could just do blogs and um, create it, just answer questions, right? And you're amazing. But it's come to where you have to be there, right? You have to get involved in discussions. Um, it's always been good to participate in open source projects, but now it's a trend, and it's more of a badge of honor than it ever was before. So it's these things that are really helping people distinguish themselves from others, and it's not grandma's networking anymore. It's really about presenting your full self and your full talents and personal brand, getting your personal brand out there. And sometimes it takes discovering what
Yeah,
that
I know
is.
you say that. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's, I believe, where consistency comes in right into play. And it's not enough to just make a connection. You need to engage and learn it over time.
Yeah, you got to just um keep getting out there, keep being yourself. I think being authentic is a big deal now, more so than it ever was before. And I think being authentic is even uh, more important than uh, being amazing, right? So we
Yeah,
grew up through
it
high
is
school.
more important than that.
Yeah, I feel like it, right?
Yeah,
Because so
but
in high
yeah,
school
you're
we
right.
learned how to give the perfect answers, right? Get those A's and
Exactly.
B's or whatever. But now it's one thing to be right, but it's another thing to be yourself and get out there and to maybe push your boundaries a little bit. uh say where you're not good at something, right? Admit that, right?
Mm.
But still get out there and try to contribute and try to grow. Don't do it in a fake way. Be honest about it. Be open. Say when you're the expert, and say when you're just giving your opinion, or you're even dancing around the issue. um
Yeah,
it's a growth process, and like you said, consistency plays right into that. Because if one day you're this bookworm, and the other day you're like a goofy guy, and then another day you're somebody else, like it's like, well, what are you, right? Yeah, we all have different moods, right? But
yeah,
in that mix, if you're too many different people, like who are you, right? So just make it yourself
yeah,
and grow. Don't be afraid to also grow and change over time, right?
yeah. That's a part of life and journey. Yeah. Let's talk about art as well. Skills will get you in the door, but what kind of mindset is really needed to truly succeed and grow in the IT industry, in your perspective?
Mm. So it starts with attitude, right? Your positive outlook or your whatever it is, right? Attitude is it, right? It's more than just you the way you communicate though, and the way you express yourself to the world, right? You need to kind of maintain some human optimism in there, and you need to be adaptable and to learn constantly, because the industry is evolving so quickly, right? And you have to be able to get out there to experiment with things, to learn with others, and to also teach others what you know. So sometimes you're learning and you're teaching at the same time, right? And the old paragraph, the old model of, the expert should be the teacher. Sometimes there is some value in this because you have the experience, right? But you can learn stuff and teach at the same time and learn while you're teaching. And I don't mean to like make courses, right? But when you're discovering new technologies, we're all discovering those together. So get out there, make those projects and experiment with it, and share your learnings and help teach people, help correct people when they're going off stray, and also be willing to experiment. And anytime you experiment, you might do something wrong, right? And you may say something that's wrong, and the next day you realize it because you're experimenting, you're learning, you go back, you correct yourself. And I think this is admirable, because this shows you're also a human. You just have to approach challenges not like they're roadblocks, right? But as they're opportunities to innovate, to improve, to break the old model, right? If you're always trying to be perfect out there, like we all are, right? We all want to be the best versions and look the best that we can in front of everybody,
Exactly.
right? But if you're not willing to experiment and to risk being wrong, then you're never going to break that mold. You're never going to stand out and be something special, right? You might be super amazing,
Absolutely.
but can you really be exceptional if you don't
We
take
won't
risks?
be able to. Yeah,
Yeah. You're not at some point.
exactly.
You're not a person. You're
To learn.
you're AutoCAD if you're too perfect.
Yeah, exactly. You're absolutely right about that. And I think that collaboration is a big part of that mindset as well. Even though IT can be technical, it's often a team effort to get projects off the ground. Would you agree to that?
Oh, it's such a team project. The okay, so I'm going to make fun of freelancers, right? Freelancers make the world spin, though, right? So I love them, right? But that freelancer that thinks he's the unicorn and can do everything, he is, unless he really is, right? And he's been doing it for so
Okay.
long that he isn't that really that niche. I find that the guy with the solo mindset that wants to totally take on the world quickly becomes outdated, and his skill sets aren't able to keep up with the changing times. And here's why I say this, right? Because when you're part of a team, everybody has a chance to have their general skills, right? They have to have the base, but they can specialize, right? So team players bring in specialty skills, and it's sometimes not even just about the skill, but they bring in a special focus, right? And they have more time to ask that particular task, right? I'd rather have 10 guys that have a good base, but one or two specialized skills in it, and then one guy that can do every single skill better than all those 10 guys, right? First of all, you won't find that, right? But if you do, he gets loaded down. He's wasting his time on mundane tasks that should be distributed to other people. And these guys actually tend to become the lead engineers in projects, and they kind of direct these. But that's also be part of a team, right? If he's got that skill and he doesn't go into a team, the world is losing out, right? Which is kind of sad, because these talents are rare in the first place. But when you have them, right, you can grow so much faster yourself. If you have this one unicorn guy and 5 of this general guys with specialties, he can ask them questions, he can get better answers, he can challenge them back. And this conflict and this pull and push is really what helps improve a whole group and entire project, and it creates synergies. No one person creates synergy, right? He can be Mozart or Raphael, but he can't make the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah,
so
that's absolutely correct.
Right. So yeah,
Now,
for me, it's just the collaboration of developers, designers, marketers, of the clients. The client is a team member, right? Every client that I've ever had brings in special, unique skills, and many of them really challenge me on a lot of things. And making them part of the team, engaging them in the process as much as they're able to. Now, not every client is able to spend a lot of time on a project, right? And that's maybe why they hire an agency in the first place, is because they go out there and they maximize that client's time. But that client's still going to bring something to the team that is unique and special, that changes the way the project will come if you work with them in the way that they can, right? And sometimes it just takes a little experimentation to see what's the best way to deal with a client. Same thing with teams, right? It takes a little bit of not being afraid to open up, to take feedback, to work over things, to express the water cooler talk, to express your challenges, not just work, but a little bit of your personal life, right? To connect sometimes, right? And
right.
yeah, it's just, I mean, I can't imagine the world without doing it in teams. In the IT industry, no way.
Yeah, same thing. Likewise. And let's dive into career navigation. The idea that can feel overwhelming with so many paths available. How should someone starting out approach their career development?
I talk about this a lot. So, and I have a lot of one-on-one conversations about this, right? It's such a for some people it's a painful topic. For some people they're exciting. Some people are all over the place, right? Some people are scared to get started, right? But I think it starts with identifying your passion, right? Just figure out what's exciting. So in the beginning of your career, just do everything that you can get your hands on. Do every job you can find, and start to see what you're interested in. Once you've nailed down this interest, right? Hopefully, you know this before you're out of high school, right? You had a lot of great experiences in high school, and you were able to experiment with things in different clubs and to get to know yourself and to grow. And once you find that curiosity, that itch that you like, go read 10 books about it. Right. And it's, I can't remember who I got this advice from. I think it was Chris Do. And I don't know if it was, from somebody, but it served me so well. When you find a topic that you want to become good at, right, that you're interested in, go read 10 books on it. By the time you've read that 10th book, you will become a subject matter expert on it. Now, make sure they're books by different authors, right? Each one should be a different author. And each one should be hopefully from a different perspective, on a different subject inside it, right? So if you wouldn't want to have like 10 books on Maslow's needs hierarchy, right? But you maybe have one book on the needs hierarchy, another on Freud's personality disorders, another on sales characteristics, personalities, right? Whatever that focus is, to the whole spectrum around it. And the way I do this is I get I just order 3 books right off, right? I just get the first 3 books that are the most popular in the field. I read through those and I see what they reference and who inspired them. And sometimes there's references for books. Sometimes they'll talk about it. But normally that's what it is. And then, I'll work my way up to 10 or 12 or, sometimes 9, right? I don't always hit 10. but I try. I'm not perfect, right? And sometimes I get bored of a topic, right? And I say, "Wow, I'm really not interested in this." By that third book, right? But I try to get through those 3 books before I say, no, not for me.
Sometimes it can get boring.
It can,
Not every
yeah,
author is going to be your favorite. Yeah.
I think it's a big deal. But you got to try to get through those 3 before you know if you're not interested, right? But that's my first advice, right? Identify that passion, dive into it, try to become an expert. And IT is broad, right? So you don't need to. In fact, I don't recommend being a jack of all trades nowadays, especially with AI, right? Because we have AI agents and stuff, and I'd rather see people that have a good general knowledge, right? Not too broad, because I want them to have some focus in there. I want them to be able to go deep into a topic, and that's what's going to be engaging with me, and to that I can say, okay, hey, I want you have you fill this need in the team because you have this depth, right? And even if it's not related, I know well enough that you can bring value to it because you develop some depth, right? There's somebody who's developed depth in any competency is very different than somebody who never has, and a lot of it just comes into confidence, the ability to focus and to dive into things, and that resilience to work through hurdles and through those bottlenecks, right? Sometimes it's hard to get past that 3rd book, but the guy that did 5 books is great, but the guy that did 10 books, he is something kind of exceptional, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think it's just something you have to grow into, right? Do you love problem solving, right? Maybe it's not that you love a certain topic, but you love a challenge, right? You like to you want to get those evildoers. Maybe you like to be a little sneaky and would like to be a little bit of an evildoer and want to do it in a legal way. Then you should do security, right? You get paid to dig and make a mess, right? To be mischievous, if that's your nature, right? What is it that drives you, right? Is it a challenge? I'm driven by challenges, often not. And I mean, that's how I got married. There's a girl that's very challenging. She got my attention, and I had to conquer that challenge. I don't know that I conquered it. I think certainly she did, but anyways, I got the better size of that deal. Anyways, the what is it that drives you, right? And then find that niche, that that job and that industry that tickles your fancy, and you'll have fun with this once you do that. And I'd say specialization is key in this, and I would say that diving into it is fun, but you have to learn to be resilient and to push through those normal boundaries that most people just quit at when they get bored.
Absolutely, I completely agree to that. And since you spoke about specialization, it not only sets you apart, but also allows you to be more valuable to your employers. But what would you say to someone who feels like they're stuck in the current role?
Happens a lot, right? It comes from a couple sides, right? One is you get put into a role because you're good at something, right? And now you're stuck in there, right? You don't have a chance to get promoted anymore because if you're so good at that one task, they can't replace you, right? And
that's right.
It happens a lot, right? And it's kind of sad when it does, because normally you either have to have a heart-to-heart or you have to move to get out of that situation, right? But here's what I say. Take ownership of your career. Look at what you have to do to get to that next level, to get to the job that you want to be in, and start doing that role. Start taking ownership of those tasks and start leading so that you can get out of your current role. And now if you're stuck in that role because you're amazing at it, train somebody else to be good enough at it that they can replace you and get so good at that next thing that you want to do, that next level, in if it's career progression or if it's another field or another industry of interest, get so good at that they have to take you, because now they would be losing out, right? Not that they're going to lose out because you're so good at what you do now, right? But you've replaced you, so they're not going to lose there, and you've given so much extra value to that next place that you want to be, that it's an irresistible offer for them, and they'll be losing out, or you'll skip out and you'll find somebody who appreciates you, right? And it's just one thing I like about IT is it rewards this kind of self-initiative, right? Now, if you're stuck in a role, if you're stuck in a job, and you start blogging about this top interest topic that you're into, and you start showing your expertise, and maybe you go out to some shows and you maybe talk to people about it, or you maybe even do a talk about it in front of a group of people, you'll be able to get into job positions and roles or leadership positions that they'll pull you into those. Other companies will find that need in you and pull you into that. They'll take you from this sad place of where you don't want to be to the exciting place of where you want to be, right? So if you feel stuck, right, which we all do, and sometimes, and it's lasting more than like a day or two, right? If you feel stuck, start learning a new skill or certificate outside of work, and take that personal initiative. Go in there. IT industry rewards this self initiative. It rewards talent, right? It also rewards the longevity and getting through hurdles, right? But that takes time to get there. So we still have the flexibility to chase our dreams in IT, and to show our talents, and to develop that, and leverage offline courses, leverage hackathons, right? Do open source projects, do content creation, go on and make some videos, right? Just take your phone, press record from YouTube, and talk about your passion, right? And have some passion,
Something
right?
that
Maybe
keeps you growing.
it does, right? I am a passionate guy, right? So for the good or bad, right? People know that about me, right? And it's okay, right? Sometimes I get a little hot under the collar. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, we need to do this. And sometimes like, yeah, that was a bad idea, right? A lot of the times I do that real quickly, right? I tend to have the ability to find out if it's a bad idea before, we got too far down that line. Normally with a few hours, I'll test stuff out, see if it's it, right? But, we all make mistakes, right? We all have to take those risks to risk. I say this, I'd rather risk it all for an amazing life than to suffer through a mundane, meaningless life. Right now, it's not about fame for me. I don't like fame, right? It's not about popularity. It's really just in my soul. And I think it's in all of our souls to go out there and to challenge ourselves, to make a change in the world, even if nobody knows, and go out there and make a difference, right? Just that doing it is such an amazing journey. So I think it's just get out of that comfort zone, right? And when you feel stuck, say, am I stuck because I am really in trouble, right? Or is there any possibility? Is there an inch I can take? And just go inch by inch. And
That was
nowadays
a
we
great
can
answer.
make some huge jumps, by the way.
Yeah. That was a really good answer to the question. And we're going to take a small break in here.
Can't hear you, dear.
Okay, can you now?
Oh yeah, there you go.
All right. So we're going to open up our stage to the audience as well. And they have questions for you, like always. The first one is, how do you see AI and automation impacting the skills required in the IT industry?
Okay, so a fun question. I'm going to take that two ways. First of all, automation is a skill that we need to develop in ourselves and in our technology base. So we need to start building in hooks for automation because of all the ways we can tie in other systems, right? So first of all, when we're engineering, we're designing a project, right? We have to see what kind of hooks can we build in, what kind of APIs, how do we enable automation, right? So that's one thing. The next thing is, now that we have so many amazing tools, how do we leverage that ourselves, right? How do we auto set up reminders, or how do we, when I get an email that's important to me and flagged in a certain way, that I automatically have a system that pulls up all the needed material and I can just dive into it without spending a lot of time and overthinking just the preparation process, right? Look at Zapier and look at all these amazing systems that we have, and look at AI and keep a fresh eye on this, because it's way different now than it was 2 years ago, right? Automation is just going to become, here's how you look at it. How can I be as lazy as possible and get twice as much done, right? Automation is that key. It's about being productive.
Great answer.
And it also frees you up to be more, have more fun, be more creative, and to be able to focus more on things. So I really am a big fan of automation.
Great. Well, that question. And how is cybersecurity knowledge for every profession?
So for cybersecurity issues, we have to have a base understanding of the common pitfalls. But I think it comes down to having a mindset that is always open to how something can be abused, and maintaining, sure, everybody can do the best practices. There's always going to be a crack in there, right? So always in the back of your head, how can this system be hacked? How can this feature be abused? How, if this was in the wrong hands, how would I prevent that? If the whole system got torn down and I got some kind of attack, how do I rebuild? How do I handle this chaos, right? It's something that we have to practice over time. There's some really, really good podcasts for cybersecurity out there, and check them out. And just listening and getting on YouTube and listening to these discussions once a week is often very beneficial, right? It's just, you'd be surprised what you hear in some case studies out there that you're like, oh wow, I never thought of that, and it changes the way you think about certain things. So it's part of a community, it's a constant improvement on skill sets. One of those like continuously things you just have to keep up on date, like the newspaper.
Great. And what is the one piece of advice you wish to had when starting your IT career?
The one piece of advice I wish I had before. I think it would be that 10 books thing, right? To pick a niche and dive into it, and really dive into it with 10 books, and to master that, and do that before you go on to the next skill. Don't be a general, a GI Joe general kind of soldier. Go in there and create some specialties and really learn some stuff. And by doing that, you'll get both the specific knowledge and you'll get a lot of general knowledge. It may not be all the general knowledge you need to fill a certain role or to have a productive life, but it's faster than trying to learn 5 programming languages to create 20 meaningless projects that you just copy. Dive into a project and be focused. I think I wish I had that advice when I was younger, to really focus on something and learn how to get over those hurdles. I get distracted
When did
easy,
you get
right?
that advice? Yeah.
Yeah. So
When did you exactly got that advice?
uh
In the middle of
this
your
advice I
career,
got,
or
this advice I got was probably 4 years ago, with with this concept. And before that, it used to be just like, hey, get good at everything, be the master of all trades, try to be that Superman. I've been in government organizations where, there was this kind of high level of super skills, right? But it was still kind of broad and immature. And when I saw, through military and through dealing with some high ranked civil professionals, some CEOs, some amazing CEOs, and some amazing marketers, I saw that the difference was their ability to focus and to get through the mundane. Right. It took me a long time to put that together, but I think I was a thick-headed kid up till like I was 35, right? Just thick-headed, right? I try to climb every mountain my own way. Yeah. So, I got lots of bumps and bruises. And I think that's good in some ways, but if I could give that one piece of advice, I think it would be that. The next advice I'd give is to early on find that perfect partner that's going to support you through thick and thin, and that you'll also support through thick and thin, and that you make that promise to each other that you'll always be there for each other no matter what goes on, and stick to that promise.
That's a beautiful one. I'd absolutely stick to that. And how can professionals transition into more specialized roles like cloud computing or data science?
The question is how or should?
How can professionals transition into roles like cloud computing or data science?
Honestly, the hardest part is deciding which one you want to specialize in. I wouldn't go the college route, right? I'd totally avoid that. What I would do is I would find the one that's most interesting to me, and I would start learning about that. I would get 3. I get 3 books. I'd go through those fast, and then I start making a project, a personal project with something I'm super passionate about. And I would hire a designer to design the project up for me. Now, if your desire is going into design, right, then you're out of luck, right? What you need to find is somebody you can bounce user experience ideas off of, and to have that conversation, right? So design is a special kind of, for me, design is a mindset and a soft skill set rather than it is a hard skill set, right? There's some books on it you can read, and there's, practicing, there's laws of design and stuff, right? Those, still you go through those books, right? But it's, I find the best designers are the ones that have a vision to get in there, do that project, right? Same for anybody else, right? At this point, this is the same advice. Do some projects, discover that, get that feedback about what was great, what was terrible, and iterate on that until you're so deep into that there's nobody else in the world, or very few people in the world, that understands that niche the way you do, right? And it may not be a useful thing, right? Maybe you went so far into the Doctor Who series with filmology and typography, right? That you just understand the soul of this audience and the science between everything in there, right? Whatever it is, that depth is going to help you in everything else that you do, and it's going to help you have a perspective that's very different. So 3 books, a project, not a big project that takes you months and years to do, a project that takes you a week. Get supplementary support around that. If it's software, get a designer to help design it out for you so that you can make it pretty and show it off, right? For developers, it's the best thing you can do is get that design out there, because people have a hard time seeing past an ugly design, right? to get that design, then and plus that, seeing a good design develop, building into your skill set into a good design is going to help you have more passion and energy into it, because you're going to have that good energy around it, right? And you're going to be able to show it off more than you would an ugly design. So it's worth paying for that. And I do, right? I used to, right? I paid like the best designers in the world, right? Absolutely. And I often pay too at a time for the early stages to make sure that it's the right concepts for the right project. So, and I'll pit them off of each other, right? I pay them, right? So I don't have them do it for free, because I wouldn't do that, because nobody gives their best work for free, right? So pay them to do this. This is professional. Pay two different designers to give you their spin on it. And then you can take either the best parts of both of those, right? Or the best designer, right? So there's a combination thereof. And then get through those 10 books. And then you're going to master that skill, and you're going to come back to me, and I'm going to want to do something fun with
and we're going to thank Phil. Yeah. We're going to send Phil for that.
Yes.
For the piece of advice you're going to give. Yeah. So what are some common mistakes IT professionals make, and how can they avoid them?
So what are the kind of mistakes who makes?
IT professionals.
Okay. So it depends on your personality, right? So there's a squirrely guy who just does too many different things and never gets any depth enough to be useful at all, right? This is the most common IT. They never become IT because they're too busy chasing Bitcoin now, and then they're chasing cryptology, and then they're into whatever skills, and they never get in deep in anything. They start it, they have no completed projects, they don't have any depth to them, they don't have any kind of substance to them, right? This is the first the squirrel. The next guy is the bookworm that is too afraid to create a project because somebody might judge him. And it's going to, if he can't take critique on it, not because he's scared of like somebody to say something wrong, right? He just can never get to that point because he's always making it too perfect. It's got to be better. It's not up to my standard, right? This is a scary person to deal with, because they never had the chance to evolve when they probably had the most potential if they had gotten early feedback and to make mistakes and get out there early on and to adapt early on. And then there's people that are just so driven on doing what they think they should do. The guy that says, I am a Java programmer because my dad was a Java programmer and they expect me to be the best Java programmer, same thing, best doctor, best dentist, right? And it's going to make my mom happy and proud if I'm really good at this, right? Exactly. This is in one way, this is very sad because they forgot to look in themselves of why they're doing it, right? Now, the parents might be right that, they should be a C++ developer, right? Because they know him from the start. But a lot of the times we go with this expectation that I believe this is what I'm doing this because I believe this is what my parents want or the community wants out of me. And they never thought about it. They never talked to them. One thing I do with my kids, right, is I'm like, boys, you're going to get your degree. You're going to finish high school. You're going to start a little business. You're going to develop some skills. And you're going to go to college, right? I'm not a fan of college. That's a great right? Well, it's a terrible approach, right? But here's what I say. You're going to experiment with some stuff, and I don't care what your passion is, what you study. Don't do IT or business because I'm doing it, right? It's not about you coming in and feeling my shoes, right? I never want you to feel my shoes, right? Your shoes are smelly enough as they are, right? My shoes stink. So do it, find yourself. I'm going to make you do some experiences in your life that are going to be uncomfortable. You're going to grow. And I have expectations, but I want you to do your thing, right? And sometimes we're scared to have that conversation with our parents and the ones we love because we think that we're going to insult them, right? But they're just saying, hey, I was just using these as an example. I don't care what you do, right? I want you to be happy. Yeah, you're going to do some things. You're going to get through college, or you're going to do a course, or you're going to learn at least one skill out there. But whatever that is, I'm happy with it as long as you're having a good life and you're feeling fulfilled. So don't do it for me. So have that conversation. And it's sad, the guy that never had that conversation, he's the other type that is never himself, right? It's like Metallica song Unforgiven, right? Get out there, experiment, ask, discover yourself, talk to your family members. Don't be afraid to say, hey, Mom, I know you're wanting me to be a doctor, right? But I kind of like making circuit boards and making these lights glow with these, microprocessing units, right? Or I kind of want to be an artist or something, right? Now, don't be afraid. Don't be upset when they say, okay, cool, be an artist or a musician, but also get another skill that'll feed your family, right? Parents need to do that, right? And a person needs to have this fallback skill that they can get some bread from. But this is different than saying you should be a doctor.
They can definitely guide kids. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they can definitely guide other than just imposing their seeds on them.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sometimes just takes a little conversation. And because realize that your parents, I have a 20-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 4-year-old, right? I knew my wife was pregnant each time before she knew she was pregnant, right? So I knew that little kid before my wife did even. And I knew that little kid before he opened his eyes, right? Your parents know you. They may be useless, right? Mm-hmm. And, so 2 and 2, right? Double-edged sword. When you're getting advice from people, right? Measure that advice against how qualified they are to give that advice. Right. Yeah. I've had family members that give the worst advice ever. Like, if I listen to you, I might as well just jump off a bridge. You're a useless person. Right. I love you. And that's why I'm having this conversation, but your advice is trash. Right. I don't say that because, I want to go back to Thanksgiving sometimes, right? Enjoy Christmas with the family. But seriously, measure the advice that people give against if they're qualified or not. And that goes for everybody, not just family. And I think those are 3 of the big types of mistakes that we have for people going into the IT industry. I think the best thing to do, discover yourself, go into a niche and find mentors and find friends that you can ask questions to, that you can get career advice from, and of course read. Lots, just read everything you can consume, listen to audiobooks, be curious, keep that curiosity going, and don't be afraid to try things and backtrack or make mistakes, right? I've done lots of different businesses that have maybe taken me away from my passion in software development for 3 or 5 years, right? Mm-hmm. Now I still kept developing and kept doing little things, right? But that total adjacent experience improved my whole life. It gave me skills. It gave me experiences. Just like, I used to say joining the military, right? I don't know if I say that anymore, but, joining the Boy Scouts or joining the club or joining the motorcycle club, right? Assuming they're, not trafficking guns and stuff, right? Doing things that are crazy and outside of your box and who knows where they'll take you. Get into that. If you're not married, right? If you're married, it's different. If you're not married when you're young, get on that plane to the country that you can't speak the language. Get on that train. Go to Europe and get on a train and just go, right? Go have some fun. Grab a couple friends. If women, this is harder for women, right? But grab a few friends and have in there some guys that you can trust like brothers, and have some girls in there. And, just learn how to protect yourself while you're traveling, but go out there and see the world and experience things. And once you've done this once or twice, you're a different person.
I get that. I'm going to do that real soon.
Yeah, you should, dear. So, I can't wait to hear your adventure.
Likewise. And before we wrap up, Phil, I would ask you for advice for our audience. Would you like to have something for them?
Sure. What I would say is always stay curious, embrace constantly learning, and embrace adventure, embrace the unknown. Go out there and be brave, right? Conquer the world. Imagine, you're the king of your domain, right? The IT industry isn't about reaching a destination. It's all about the journey. All of life is about the journey, right? So stay curious, stay adaptable, stay flexible, right? Try to catch yourself. Tell yourself that you're going to catch yourself if you ever become too rigid, if you don't question at least once in a while the assumptions that you were given or that you're making. And always listen to that inner voice and say, is that me that's speaking? Or is that the me that I want it to be? And take steps in the direction where you know you need to go there. Be brave, have some fun. And failure isn't a barrier to success. It's the teacher that's going to get you to the next level.
Certainly. Thank you so much, Phil, for all the incredible insights today. I'm sure all of this as valuable as I did. And thank you to audience who found the session valuable and they watched it till the end.
Thank you, everybody. It was a great discussion. Great questions, guys. Thank you for asking. And everybody stay tuned. Put some comments, ask some more questions. This is a fun topic. And myself, like many other more senior guys, really like helping young talent come up and to get exposure to the world. So don't be scared. Get out there and share the love.
So until then, stay safe and secure. Take care of yourself. Goodbye.